Hi, Stephen Kelley here. June 26, 2023. I just want to make a quick video about what I think happened with the insurrection or the Wagner mutiny this weekend in Ukraine. All right, very simply, Russia has a fifth column. It's the same one that the United States has that operates in most countries of the world. And as I've mentioned before, the real players here, or at least the enemy, is Chabad. And the oligarchs, the ones with the money that have been responsible for all this, they are this fifth column. Now, Wagner, of course, is a private military company that was set up in Russia to provide services quickly in areas that were outside of the jurisdiction of traditional state-sponsored military action. But the group was not created by Eugenie. It was actually created by the Russians, but he was selected as a leader or a figurehead, mostly based on his history of providing services to the Russian military, such as catering, food. So he is in no way in control or in any kind of ownership of this operation. Now, what I suspect actually happened here is Kosygin isn't really all that bright, I don't think. He's an ex-convict, and I believe that he was paid off. In this case, people say it was the CIA. I believe it was actually by Russian oligarchs or Ukrainian oligarchs. It's kind of the same thing. Billions, perhaps. Now, his march on the Rostov-on-Don, which is where the Russian military headquarters is, Western group. Before he even got there, the head of the Chechen forces, Wagner, had already encircled the area. So there wasn't any way that he was going to be able to accomplish anything because these guys had already gotten there. Now, there was no way this was going to happen. He didn't have any support. And more than likely, this is something that's been in the works for quite some time. But either way, most of the troops that went with him on this march to Rostov-on-Don they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what their orders were. They didn't know what the objective was. And most of the Wagner forces did not even participate, including none of the officers were involved. So, what's happening now, since the whole thing fizzled out and ended, is that Wagner is going to be incorporated into the Russian military, which is something that was already in the process. And this, of course, was something that Kosygin probably wasn't too enthusiastic about. But that will continue now. Those soldiers that were participated in the march, I suspect all of them, will not be incorporated into the Russian military, and Kosygin is going to be exiled. The negotiations with the president of Belarus, the one who handled negotiations with him in the Kremlin, the deal was for him now to go to Belarus and probably subsequently another country. But the bottom line is, this was a desperate failed attempt to try to change the course. Wagner was already being, shall we say, in the process of being, well, let's just say taken apart and reassembled back into the official Russian military. So Kosygin influence and his clout and his ego were probably diminishing rapidly, his place. So the bottom line is this really doesn't matter. the West, of course, right now is conducting huge exercises, air exercises, including Japan in a NATO operation, which is really wild. But this looks like it's nothing more than preparation, training for an event, soon to come event. We're still looking at the possibility that there could be a nuclear false flag around the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. And I would say that the failure of this Wagner uprising is probably going to push that into a higher priority time frame. But the main thing is to take away from this is that the powers that be, the people that control the money, all the money, they're in trouble. Now Putin, he knows what he's doing. He knows who the enemy is. And at the same time, he has to approach this in a discreet way without calling out the enemy in public, because we know what happens when you call out the oligarchs or the Chabad. Cries of anti-Semitism, etc. arise. So he's playing this very wise, and ultimately I think that the result is going to be good for all of us. I gotta give the man credit. All right, that's my take on the situation. I just wanted to share that, and as always, please continue to recruit people into the group. And if you have any questions or you need anything at all, please email me at law17county@AOL.com. All right? Thank you so much. Adios.